I know what you're thinking. We've already heard so many bad things about kids' content on YouTube, and there could be nothing worse than the Ace family and the Frozen Elsa C-section Spider-Man videos. But what if I told you that the two of them have formed a hybrid? Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, it's not that. Put the gun down. Bad transition slides because I structured this poorly, go. Hello degenerates, and this time on Wish for Death Island I am feeling a lot less nihilistic and a lot more wish for deathy, but isn't that always the way? Just to get it out of the way, I'm going to bring up the not so bad things to ease you into the more uncomfortable stories, and then afterwards I'm just going to go back into not so bad stories like a cushion. Firstly, let's talk about the fact that there are now children who have grown up on camera and never seen a life without it. I know this is something that would happen to celebrity kids in a trad sense before this, but I didn't say I supported that either. You have these people who have had their entire lives, including moments that are usually pretty special and intimate, just played out in front of everyone. I know a lot of people bring up the Olsen twins here, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but I want to use them as a comparison to basically every kid that has grown up with their lives online in vlogs. With the Olsen twins growing up, there's basically a lot of pressure on them, not only from the industry but from their fans in general. They were constantly asked about work, and they would say that they loved it, which could be true to an extent, but the amount that they did, it must have been straining.
You know what? I don't want to work anymore. Let's just go play.
No.
You like work?
It's no wonder that they've been out of the spotlight ever since, because if you've never had a choice or were able to give consent about being online, wouldn't you just leave? Because sure, I'm not saying that everything they did was just horrible or trying to make a case that kids should be banned from this kind of thing, but I definitely think that the best way to approach having a kid in this type of atmosphere is to keep them out of the spotlight as much as you can until they make the later decision themselves that they want to be fully in it or just withdraw. When they're old enough, it's like a tattoo. You don't understand it at first and they don't fucking know what they want, so it's best to just wait to give them the choice because it's definitely one of those no going back things. However, while I do think that this is the same for vloggers, I do think that the internet has a very different effect on the way a kid grows up. I think for traditional celebrities there's this unspoken type of unobtainability, like there's always a out of reach sort of nature for them and this entire another level, and they're revered in a way. This probably has another big effect on the way the people who grow up this way feel about the world, but in a way it's kind of worse with vlogging channels, I think. Because with the traditional celebrities, they still have their moments kind of private and take pictures or something to telegraph it to the world, which again I don't entirely agree with, but there's a line. With these videos, the premise is to make it seem like a day in the life as if there are no cameras there in the first place, and you know they're all acting it up for the camera, but the kids don't know that. Sure, some of them do, but some of them don't understand what's happening. For however long, they're going to make the assumption that there is no difference between real life and the videos. And when they finally do, it will be such a weird disconnected feeling because of the realization that not all of this was real. Which part was which part was fake and which part wasn't. In my previous video on the Ace family, I brought up a thing about the new baby. Basically, they have 2 daughters and a son, and the son has had far more hype around him. Like there were multiple videos on everyone reacting to it, there were pictures on Instagram, while the other kids didn't really get that much of a look back on their birth in the same way. Imagine an issue with when they're looking back and seeing a lack of attention or too much attention in relation to each of them. I'd imagine it would be really intense. The thing about fandoms is that you're constantly questioning what they want and if the thing you're currently working on is actually going to satisfy them. Or what about the thing that you're offering just being you as a person, and the people running the channel thinking that you're not as important to everyone else as your siblings. If your entire life was just constantly measured and changed in the amount of views you were getting, and that was judged by the people who took care of you, measured by people you don't even know, needless to say, I'm very grateful that didn't happen to me. Not only that, but getting into something more morbid, you don't know who is watching you and what for. An example of this is Alison Tate, who ran a channel with I think a consistent 13k views, and she found some playlists that people had made of her videos that she didn't even know about before but had apparently been happening for a really long time. Not only that, but these were often linked or embedded on websites or sections of kids' videos uploaded to those websites straight up as their own clips, and the websites in question were, let's just say, not Chris Hansen friendly and also something that Muda would find on a Sunday. These people who ran those collected videos of kids in diapers and swimming and basically anything where they were vulnerable and showing skin, and even saying that makes me want to throw up in my own mouth. It's gross that people like that exist, but the dark reality of these vlogging channels is that absolutely every one of them has some weird playlist somewhere that has a collection of their children in these moments that are taken to a really terrible context, even on an entirely different website where it is traded for others just like it. It was found that turning off embedding was part of the solution, but there's still a public playlist on YouTube itself to worry about. Secondly, taking a look at the analytics revealed that there's a huge amount of older men watching these videos, when it was assumed that most of these views should have just been from other families or children themselves. Allison, the woman in question for this particular story, had her older men viewers go from 40% to 17% when she removed her embedding. I tried looking for her content, but I think she got her channel deleted once she found these out, and understandably so. She was understandably horrified by this, but the sad fact is that there are probably still clips of these kids floating around on the internet. Deleting these only does so much, but thankfully because of Allison's quick action there will be less of them out there. Sadly, you can't stop it all. And the thing is, going back to the Ace family, or the Ingrams, or we'll get there, these channels are much bigger, and this means the number is amplified, especially because their kids are all over Snapchat as well, which you can't even fucking trace. Like, I don't know who fucking saved that shit, I don't think they do either. Let's all do some math as well, some very important maths. My intention for this is, because I know that a lot of the stuff is just percentages, they kind of seem just, you know, there. I really wanted to show you how big the number is, how big of a deal that chunk of the audience is by amplifying that to the Ace family's numbers, using the same percentages but just applying it to a bigger channel to really hammer it home. So Allison's Chris Hansen unfriendly viewers went from 40 to 17%, which means that she lost 23% of those viewers. 23% of 13k is around 3k, 2.9 exactly. Let's blow this up to the Ace family. They have 18 million subscribers and 23% is almost 4 million. It's an outrageous number, but I'm using it just to show how terrifying 23% of your audience having bad intentions is. That's a big number. And I obviously don't think 4 million people are watching the Ace family with the intention of doing that. I think that's a bit impossible. But considering the track record of these channels and these other sort of weird events, like webcam video from, which was a whole thing in like 2017, I think, we'll come back to that, there could easily be 10,000 people doing this to the Ace family, which is a scarily possible number. This is much lower than the 23%, sure, but really it is a huge amount of people. Have you ever been in front of 10,000 people in a room before? I think a lot of people kind of forget how big these numbers can be. Just think of, and especially think back to when Austin from the Ace family was filming his daughter with that phallic lollipop, the damage that could have done. I would say I'm not trying to go all think of the children, but really there are times when you have to, especially in something as weird and shapeless and untamed as the internet. And the reason I put open secret in the title is because I absolutely believe that they know. There is no way that these parents don't understand this, and if they didn't, there could be some time you could spend trying to understand it, especially when your kid's health is on the line. It's just strange sometimes that they continue to make content with these clips that could easily be taken out of context by terrible people when they know that this is happening. Am I saying that children should not be in videos and family vloggers should not exist? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying that we should contact the advertisers for some weird reason while pretending that we have our moral priorities right? No, besides some fuckhead already did that. What I'm saying here is there should be at least a tiny bit of a guideline. I don't mean guideline as in a YouTube guideline, because they tried doing that recently and everything that YouTube tries fucks up because they're incompetent. What I'm saying is maybe there should be some sort of guideline that's more of a community thing, like known from family vlogger to family vlogger. If you start a vlogging channel based on your family, you can find it and look at what they've gathered to keep your kids safe. It's just something that would be really much better than what they have now. For all I know, they could have it, but if they do, it's garbage because it hasn't done anything and this shit is still happening. But maybe something better could work. Like, what's worse is when your parents are in on it as well. There's a channel I remember back in 2017 called Toy Freaks. This channel was operated by this man who looks like his family tree is a fucking recycling plant, and he would do things like tape his daughters to the walls, make them stand in swimming costumes and scream as he put things like rubber insects in the bath and all over their skin, and just film them freaking out about it. He would also suck on a pacifier and dress up in young children's clothes and act like a child as well. There are a couple of videos of him also filming them with blood on them, like in their mouths when their teeth came out. It was gross. It was just gross. I couldn't even look at the damn screen. I'm actually the opposite of squeamish, but this brings out some running away right now instincts in me. And I didn't find their channel at first. It was from, I think, a pyrocynical video, and then some other people started talking about like the more serious implications of it, and when they played clips from Toy Freaks in their videos, I just couldn't fucking look at them. But their channel is gone too because of how fucking awful that shit was. But you know these videos exist in other places. They've been re-uploaded or something. Such as the webcam video from, where these were uploaded on YouTube and contained kids doing things from sexual to normal. But the comments, no matter what the content was, if it was sexual or normal, the comments were people saying the most terrible things and very sexual in nature. You've probably heard of this because it happened and a bunch of YouTubers made videos on it and it was taken down for the most part and fixed. Now you can find all of these videos warning about webcam video from if you look it up, which is great. So at least there's kind of a way to sort it out there, but none of this other stuff was. And then you have people like Chris Ingram, who was involved in some really heavy allegations from minors who he asked for nudes and sent nudes, and he tried to meet up with people, and the people who came forward with these things have screenshots and videos and receipts galore. Chris made a response saying that the people were wrong because they're wrong. And they're jealous. Austin, is that you? There are the obvious things like Daddy of 5, but they've been talked about so much that I'm pretty sure you know all about it. What I will say is that it's just very sad that a kid being abused so much got that much attention in a positive light, and that so many people had to step in to make it happen and to make something good happen and to get that kid away from there. But not only that, that there are lots of people who think that that was a bad thing and think that the video should have kept going. That the dad has a following of people that actually think that he's great. What I will also mention is that they tried to come back with a gaming channel, but it got shut down, and now Daddy05, the big Shrek himself, is a SoundCloud rapper, and my ears want me to pay for their therapy bills, so maybe I can make a less serious video on that some other time, but I'm certainly not going to talk about it now. The last one is more of a grey area, and I'll leave you with it just to think about it. There's a fandom around people called Cole and Sav, and they have kids that they put together a lot, so much that they're pretty much a couple now. Sure, on the surface, it looks like people just making a cute thing out of kids doing cute things, but it starts to become really intense as it goes. Like, these kids are being put together in a pretty prolonged, serious nature. What if it starts to affect how they feel about each other when they get older? A serious question, because fandoms suck. Even adults. Like, 2 of the people from One Direction, who I can't remember the names of because I don't do boy bands, forgive me, are no longer friends because of the amount of pressure the fandom put on them and harass their girlfriends because they shipped them together. This is the direct reason why they had a falling out. How do you recover from that? Do you start to resent the other person even though they didn't really have anything to do with it because they were forced to have something to do with it? So I just think, what is the line with stuff like this? Do you think that maybe it should have been mentioned once or twice and just kept it to the sidelines as a joke? Do you think that this is something that you mention among family and friends and just don't mention to an audience at all because you know how they get? And what do you think that it's going to affect with these kids when they're older in terms of their perception towards each other and just the way that they view anything that happened to them when they were being in videos and didn't really register when they were younger? Anyway, this has been depressing enough, but there are just some things about these open secrets, these morbid truths between family vlogging channels that keep me up at night. I just needed to get it off my chest. This is the second part of the Ace Family video I did, and I hope you got something from it. And see, I didn't have to take 2 weeks to upload this time. Did I? Bye, fuckers.